Don't share QLA with anybody, your family, nobody. And when I say nobody, I mean no fucking person. Because you're not going to get positive feedback. And for those of you that are stupid enough to think that you have support in your significant other, what the fuck are you smoking? Give me some of that shit if it's not addictive. Because they may say they're supportive. Most of you, your significant others have said, if they said anything, I'm supportive. That's a load of shit. This is why most people never get started. Because you know inherently, and you believe based on your lack of role models in your life that you're going to be the 90%, up to half that fail. That's why they never get started, most. That's why there's so few kids that go out on their own. In this country, to be a main board director, the kind of directors we're talking about, dream team. They don't call them dream team because they have a different function here. Main board director, you go to school, you get the best grades you can, you go to the best university you can, you get out, and normally the path, not the path of least resistance, the path to the most highest probability of success is to go into the city, as they call it, the financial district, which used to be the Roman city, London, 1 square mile. And they work their way up through management, and they get to be a main board director. They're on the board of directors, and unlike us, where our directors get paid based on the compensation of deals and the amount of value they add to the deals, they get, once you're a main board director, you stay main board director, and you normally retire after 20, 25, 30 years, and then you feather your nest by getting on 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 boards, big main boards, British Telecom, etc. And you get, anywhere from 150 to 250,000 pounds a year for each one of those board positions. And then you're in your 50s, middle to late 50s, and you're fat and sassy, so to speak. And you buy a place in the country, or you buy a place abroad, as they say here, which doesn't mean a fucking thing abroad. It could be across the water in Calais in France or wherever. And that's your career. That's it. You never gone out on your own, never, because you know this. When I just got an email, or YouTube actually, from a kid that was at the University of Pennsylvania, has been following me, I don't know. When they say for years, I don't know if that means 2 years or 25 years. Most mean 3 or 4 years. And he said, in a very nice email, a long comment on YouTube, that seeing me at University of Pennsylvania is nothing compared to YouTube, because he saw me in person. I look at myself on YouTube, and that sounds like me, it looks like me, and I think about when I was at University of Pennsylvania, and I don't see the difference. But people that actually see me in person, as opposed to on YouTube, say there's a huge difference. So this guy goes on and gives me a lot of accolades, which is nice, I appreciate that. But he said that since Pennsylvania, he's listened to me and followed me for years, remember years, since Pennsylvania, which was what? That was September 13, October, November. 3 months, he took action, so he says. And of course, I can only give you feedback based on whether this is bullshit or not bullshit. Obviously, some of the comments are bullshit, okay? But to take him at his word, and he took action the next day from Pennsylvania, and his whole life, bored, cutting off friends, doesn't talk to his mother, but once a month now, yada yada. Now, if that were true, assuming this kid is telling me the truth, if that were true, then there'd be no need, you wouldn't be here. Because, some of you have seen me in person before you got here, but for the YouTubers, the information's there. It's there. As I sarcastically said last night, I'm an overnight success after 25 years. I used to laugh at that when I'd hear people say that I'm an overnight success after 20 years or 30 years. And it's certainly not from me not talking shit. I'm the greatest. But most of the people, and some in this room included, many of the people that hear me don't hear the message because of the messenger. They kill the message instead of the messenger because they can't stand me and the way I present information. So it doesn't resonate. Yesterday you saw 4 people, okay? Well, I'll even say the high school kid. Could anybody relate to the high school kid, okay? Could anybody relate to Jason Nagy? Well, you're full of shit. I don't know what you're smoking. There is no Jason Nagy in this fucking room. See, and the point I'm trying to make is the fact that you can relate to him and do are two different fucking things. I relate to big tits and a girl that can suck the crumb off a trailer hitch. That's what I relate to. Everybody understand what I just said? Just because you can relate to it doesn't mean you can fucking do it. And in my experience, it's not even the first step to doing it. I used to think when I started doing this 26 and a half years ago, it was the first step. If I could get you to relate, of course I was the only subject then, and nobody could relate to me. And I tried 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, or maybe even 10 different methodologies to present the information. And no matter whether I was soft or hard, nobody could relate. When I mean nobody, I mean zero. And Bruce the Whipple, who's probably watching this later on today, can tell you, because he went to a bunch of my seminars the first year I gave seminars. And the 5 or 6 or 10 people that followed me around the country could relate. When you go and listen to me 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 times in a year, there's something about me that you can relate to, not necessarily like, but can relate to. And when you get out there, and one of the points of this little diatribe I'm going through is that almost everybody's not gonna be able to relate to you. Not zero, but almost zero. And for the sensitivity, for the sensitive people in the audience, that hurts. They're not telling you you're full of shit vis-a-vis rejection, but they're rejecting you. And that's what slows down the kids meaning you. It's not just the act of cold calling. And you've heard every single person so far, cold calling, volume, right? You're 2,000 calls away from being rich. But it's like the Chinese water. It's not, it used to be centuries ago, the Chinese water, they drop drops of water on you. And that's actually where waterboarding came from. Now, I'm not gonna go into a discussion what waterboarding is, but it's not the first 25 drops on your forehead, water torture, Chinese water torture. It's the 500th drop. It's the 5,000th drop, and it wears you down. It wears you down. And that's why the most contagious thing is negative thought. And for the most part, you all come, not just this group, but all groups, and the kids on YouTube come from not negative backgrounds that they didn't say positive things to you, but negative backgrounds vis-a-vis when you try to explain QLA. And that's why in the close, the last afternoon, I rant and rave, I might even get tears in my eyes to tell you, don't share QLA with anybody, your family, nobody. When I say nobody, I mean no fucking person. Because you're not gonna get positive feedback. And for those of you that are stupid enough to think that you have support in your significant other, what the fuck are you smoking? Give me some of that shit if it's not addictive. Because they may say they're supportive. Most of you, your significant others have said, if they said anything, I'm supportive. That's a load of shit. But you want to believe that they're supportive. You want to believe that you don't have to cut yourself off from 99% of the people you know. But I'm here to tell you, to get on that fucking wall, you got to cut out 99.9% of everybody you know. How many related to the bitch? Frenchie, you don't relate to the bitch? Okay. Normally there's some support. It's like the Aussies that support the Mongoloid idiots from Australia, and the Germans support the Germans. Who else was there? Yeah. And what about the Vietnamese gangbang? He's a good shit. Oh, you should have seen him before when you look about the transformation. I could do a show on the transformation, starting with the dreadlocks guy that I mentioned yesterday. Now, how many of you can relate to Steve motherfucking asshole Jobs? What do you say? Oh, well, you ought to go kill yourself. I mean, what's wrong with you? I feel sorry for your brother having to drag you around all your life. I can relate to Steve, not just because I've met him before. He's from outer space, isn't he? He was. And there's a whole theory that those guys and Hawkins and Gates and the aliens came down and had sex with their mothers, and that's what came out. Success leaves clues. What are some of the takeaways from Steve, other than you can't relate to him?
He was ruthlessly focused. However, his ruthlessness wasn't related to anyone, but a mere force to penetrate into the world to get the outcome.
No, his ruthlessness was focused on people. I didn't physically see him throw computers at programmers, but I was in the office when it just happened. I didn't see him physically. But he tried to throw up programmers out windows. Sound familiar?
He had no problems threatening people's lives.
Correct.
No issue at all.
And he didn't relate to his daughter until he saw she was smart. Now you just take the little shits, little shit, and shits all over your hand, the diaper, because it's yours. You don't even think about the little fucker shouldn't have been born. 50% of you in this room were accidents. Not just because you're 9 years apart from your brother or sister. 50%. After you go back, the only thing I want you to talk to your dad about, not your mom, was I on purpose. And I will bet £1 million to the pound, like that deal, that at least 50% of your father goes, and that's the universal, no you weren't, you were an accident. And you've known that all your lives. Now some of you, it's really easy to tell you were an accident when it's 11 years apart, or, the old man got drunked up or couldn't fuck anybody at the pub, so he comes over, hops on your mom. But then when they raise you, and the dad, every time he looks at you, he thinks, well, I could have finished medical school, but we had you. Or I could have done this. I could have gone on and been a lawyer, or whatever he was. Or I could have gone on and been a half-assed doc like Doc. You know that. It's been proven that from the second trimester, more or less, the kid is cognizant of what the fuck's going on in the womb. So your biological father comes home, and your biological mother tells your dad, we're pregnant. I could lecture a whole month on this we're pregnant shit. But I'm not gonna go there. The fucking we're pregnant, my ass. Anyway, and she tells your biological father, we're pregnant, and he starts screaming and yelling at her. I'm 2 payments behind in my car. They're gonna repossess this and that. You fucking bitch, and you get pregnant. You heard that. You fucking heard that. Now just think about how your dad has treated you. Now some of you, this isn't the case. Or you're from a Catholic family that they just want to pump out kids. It's God's will. Isn't that the way they say in the Philippines? It's God's will? Yeah.
Go out and produce more.
Yeah, go out and produce more kids. Well, is that because they really wanted you, or because they're addicted to religion, addicted to the Catholic Church, and they do what the Pope says? I could lecture from now until Christmas on why you're fucked up. But the people that were showing you, i.e. The founder of McDonald's and Steve Jobs, are different. They are. It's like there was a book written 20 some years ago. Men are from Venus and women are from Mars, or whatever the fucking that book was. It is. These guys and these gals are like other people. And all you have to do is get some of their traits. Not all their traits, but some of their traits. On a scale of 1 to 100, if I'm a 98 or 99 alpha male psycho here, you don't have to be over here, because most of you are in the third, close to opposite of alpha male. I don't know what a beta male is, but I mean introverts over here. All I need to shift you is 10%, and you'll be rich. 10%. That's it. It's a hard 10%, though. I don't want to be disingenuous like everybody else tells you it's possible. What else about Steve?
He did not care how other people like or dislike.
Really? And it's funny you should say that, though, because not just him, because you're all pleasers. Do you realize how psychologically sick it is to be a pleaser? This is worth spending 2-3 minutes on. Do you understand the fundamentals of psychotherapy, how bad it is to be a pleaser? Because you're giving away your own rights for somebody else's. Not your mother or your father, anybody. Because pleasers are pleasers to everybody. Now, for whatever reason, maybe it's because of the atomic bombs, but I didn't suffer from that. I use the word suffer. I don't suffer from that. And I'm way at the other end of the continuum. I don't possess empathy or sympathy. There's not an ounce of it in my body. I'm pretty sure I know why, because of my dad. My dad didn't have a dad. His dad died a few months before he was born. So my dad was raised in the military, 2 wars, and that's how he raised me. That's how he raised me. What else about Steve? Yes, sir.
He really valued first impressions. The launches were rare.
First impressions, really? I can't fucking believe that. Go ahead.
Yeah, the launches mattered to him, so he just realized he just was adamant about the smallest little details on the launches.
Now, I'm not a detail guy. I'm a 60,000 foot Concorde view guy. A lot of the high performance guys are detail oriented, but I'm not. And we don't want you to be. We want you to be 60,000 foot Concorde look. But somebody on your dream team has got to cross the T's and dot the fucking I's. Somebody, preferably more than one person, but not you. What else about Steve?
Momentum. When he got booted, he just went on to the next project and then figured out a way to connect it later.
One of the things that Josh Kim says, other than 95% of the things I worried about the first 3 years didn't happen, he says, and I just figured it out. And he says, giving the people that are watching this on YouTube the benefit of the doubt, he says, and you can figure it out. But because in the past you haven't figured out shit, your confidence or the lack thereof, you don't think you're gonna figure it out. Because you've seen a few of you in the room had ostensibly successful parents. or one parent. Only one of you, I think, got two successful parents. And that's special. And by successful, I mean high performers. They may not have made a lot of money, but you can be a high performance in a lot of different areas and not make tons of money. It used to be if you were high performance, you automatically made tons of money, but now that's not the case. And so your role models in life, of course, Steve was adopted. And for those of you that you probably know this because you know all this shit because you spent too much time Google fucking all this. As his parents, after he was successful, his biological parents tried to reconnect with him. And praise Allah, he told him to fuck off. He also spent 3 or 4, depending on which story you want to believe, he spent 3 days or 3 weeks in college and dropped out. I don't know if it's 3 days or 3, but I mean, he dropped out. He thought it was a waste of time. In hindsight, I didn't have to go to school, a university. Having flunked out 3 times, I think university was trying to tell me something. But I went back after the military and I graduated anyway. What else about Steve? Yes, sir.
He absolutely thought he was better than us. There's like so many quotes during the movie. I'm like Julius Caesar. You get a free pass for life. He was above everybody and felt it that way, and rightfully so.
Just as I do, because you guys aren't like me. We've never had anybody in the seminar. We had a couple close. And that's getting back to the messenger. That's why it's taken so long for this idea that I had 26 years ago to resonate, because we had to have a plethora of meatheads that made a lot of money. Because you can relate to the meatheads more than you can relate to me. If we didn't have all these people that have been successful and created a lot, literally tons of money, there'd be nobody following me. Some of the successful people that I know, high performance, can't understand why millions don't follow me. Do they understand what you're telling them? I said, no, they don't. You could be like a fucking cult, you could be like a fucking Hitler.